I grew up, and probably you too, only hearing the go of the gospel, going to all the world. Huge part. My whole family, missionaries, and I mean, it's a really big deal for us that I really contend for and fight for, the go of the gospel. But there's another part of the gospel, it's the come of the gospel. That we become something in community, we become something in the breakthroughs in life, where we learn how to do family life, we learn how to do business or community or whatever it might be, that actually attracts those who are stuck in the valley of darkness somewhere, and they see this city, this community of the redeemed, and they're attracted to a place of health and life.
So we are all, it's fascinating to me that Christianity has gone on for 2,000 years. You know, its earlier roots in Judaism, and it's survived and thrived in various sorts of governments, cultures. It's probably in Rome and in the early church, it was the disenfranchised, it was the poor that were probably flocking to the gospel more quickly than the rich. There was more to lose by becoming a Christian in status, in those early days, and you have Nero. I think when Paul writes chapter 13, Nero's there. Now again, Nero's an odd duck because he was actually probably okay until he went super bad. But you have to take history and take a look at that. So there's a season under Nero when things were like going okay. We tend to think from the very beginning, but there was a season it was all right. All that to say that I think being salt and light is this call on us, and yet it might look different in communist China, in quasi-capitalistic Hong Kong, in India. How are you understanding salt and light in a way that's not simply American or American democracy? We can get there, but maybe in a larger context.
Well, any kingdom truth will work in any setting. It will work in communism. It will work in democratic society. It will work in, in the major corporation. It will work in the home. It works in the church. The problem is when the church creates its own government, if you will, that is not kingdom. It works in that local church, but it won't work outside of that church. So when we look at salt and light and leaven, which there's actually three there, those talk about the impact we're supposed to have on our surroundings. Salt adds flavor. And I know it was used as a preservative, but in Jesus's instruction, he says, salt without flavor is tossed out, trampled under the feet of men.
So just the fact that it's salt isn't helpful.
I'm sorry.
It can be salt, but if it doesn't have flavor, it's not helpful. It's useless.
Exactly. So salt then is supposed to enhance the flavor of culture. So if you think about the church that way, as being a people, when we have a nice meal, we don't unscrew the salt shaker, pour all the salt in the corner of the plate. It does us no good there. It has to be evenly sprinkled throughout the meal. That's what enhances flavor.
It's interesting because you're not emphasizing salt's preservative components because of his accenting flavor was the issue he's trying to highlight.
Yeah, I would call the preserving part a secondary truth. There are layers to truth always. But the initial thing that he addressed, don't go for the second until you get what he said. What he said was it adds flavor. It enhances the flavor. So the concept is that we are business people, our school teachers, our political people, all these people are sprinkled throughout society to bring the reality of Christ into that place of influence, the reality of the kingdom of God, to enhance the flavor of whatever the city is doing. Maybe it's the symphony of San Jose Symphony or something, and somebody is a violinist and they become a part of that group, and just their role of influence is to enhance the flavor and the quality of that artistic expression. And it's such a bigger picture than simply going to church on the weekends, trying to get your neighbor saved, and so they can join the church.
Or I got to be in charge of everything. for it to be any good.
Yeah,
exactly.
and that's horrible too.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. Our strong suit is serving, but So the salt and light. Light, I always thought was to expose. So if salt is to preserve and light is to expose, which are secondary truths, if I can use that terminology, it would be true, but it's not the initial truth Jesus addressed. He said flavor, and then when he spoke of light, he said a city set on a hill cannot be hidden. That's how he illustrated light. So when is a city on a hill observable? It's when it's dark. So it's in darkness. I see a place of safety, refuge, nourishment, community. I'm attracted to something. And my upbringing,
Out of
perhaps,
darkness, I can head to the light.
exactly, I'm going to be drawn to something. So here's the deal. I grew up, and probably you too, only hearing the go of the gospel, going to all the world. Huge part. My whole family, missionaries, and I mean, it's a really big deal for us that I really contend for and fight for, the go of the gospel. But there's another part of the gospel, it's the come of the gospel, that we become something in community, we become something in the breakthroughs in life, where we learn how to do family life, we learn how to do business or community or whatever it might be, that actually attracts those who are stuck in the valley of darkness somewhere, and they see this city, this community of the redeemed, and they're attracted to a place of health and life. They may not come to me because of their hunger to know God. They may come to me because they see my children respect me. And that may be the attractant, the light element. They may come to you because they see your business works well. And how did you survive COVID-19 with your business in the middle of such hellish situations? And so they're not coming to know Jesus. They're coming because the light of the kingdom expressed in your life has attracted them. And that's the initial truth of salt and light.
Yeah, that's a beautiful picture, because we Jerusalem on a hill would be, and you know, the devout Jews would travel 3 times a year, potentially for festivals, either from the Galilee area or from around. And of course, those that lived around could see it. So that picture would be very evident. Like they'd all kind of go, "Oh yeah, I get that completely." And there's the Festival of Lights, when Jerusalem would be lit up in even a cooler way, and so that attractiveness would be quite powerful.
Yeah.